We start off tonight with breaking news out of New York City. The Federal Aviation Administration has issued a ground stop at LaGuardia Airport after an Air Canada plane collided with a vehicle on the ground. New York City authorities confirmed the plane hit a Port Authority vehicle that was on the runway around 11:40 Eastern Time tonight. Multiple videos taken by bystanders and posted on social media show the jet with severe damage to its front. No word yet on if anyone there was hurt. Okay, let's take a turn here and talk about our weather and take a live look outside as we wrap up the first weekend of spring. Thanks so much for joining us. I'm John Adams. Celine Stevens is joining us with more on what we can expect to start the week on Monday. Hey, Celine.
Hey, John. Yeah, first weekend of spring. I think it was a pretty nice one. We had mild temperatures, perfect conditions to go see the cherry blossom trees. But things are going to stay like that for about one more day before we get the rain. But right now, taking a look at our sky camera at the Pioneer Park building, 48 degrees at the moment. Those winds coming out of the northwest at 8 miles per hour. And looking at our temperatures across the map, we're seeing upper 40s in Vancouver, mid 40s in Hillsborough and McMinnville. And then along the coast, temperatures are chilly. We're seeing temperatures in the low 40s in Tillamook, 39 degrees in Newport. There is a potential for some frost tomorrow morning. However, that would most likely be in the rural areas as we do have warm air already coming in ahead of the system that we're going to see striking Tuesday morning. We'll talk about that in a moment. Looking at our winds, right now it's also a little breezy out there. We're going to continue to see the wind speeds in the 20-mile-per-hour mark as we get into this next hour just before midnight. Along the coast, it's not so bad, but it really gets windy come Tuesday. 31-mile-per-hour winds in the Portland area, 30s on the coast too. Coastal areas could even get up to 45-mile-per-hour gusts Tuesday, and that's all thanks to this system that's coming into our area. So tomorrow will be a nice day like today. Cloud coverage coming in toward the evening hours. We get into Tuesday, here comes that rainfall, and this is going to stick around Tuesday into Wednesday. We'll talk more about just how much rain we're expecting in a bit.
All right, Celine, thanks so much. We'll see you soon. To another developing story now playing out at our nation's airports. President Trump announcing plans to deploy ICE agents into American airports to help combat long TSA lines as the partial government shutdown continues. Jake Holter brings us reaction from PDX, where spring break travel is now in full swing.
A mix of opinions from travelers, as some think it's a good way to ease TSA lines, while others feel that ICE's presence at the airport will be a disruption.
I think that's a great idea.
I think it's just designed to create more intimidation at the airports.
With stories of hours-long TSA lines at airports across the country, President Trump decided to call in some unconventional backup: ICE agents.
I'm trying to stay positive with it and think, it's good that they're getting help, but it's still a very nerve-wracking experience, to say the least.
Claire from Salem says she might think twice about traveling after hearing the news.
It doesn't exactly make me feel any safer. I would say it goes so far as to be the opposite.
But local Bart Kellison thinks it's a smart fix.
Whatever it takes to help everybody move around the country and do what they needed to do, business-wise and family-wise, that's a good move.
White House Border Czar Tom Homan reiterating the plan Sunday.
This is about helping TSA do their mission and get the American public through that airport as quick as they can, while adhering to all the security guidelines and the protocols.
Well, that's not their job. I think if they can find a way to pay ICE, they should be able to find a way to pay our TSA agents that are trained to protect us and to make sure that we're traveling securely.
Homan says ICE won't play any role in the actual passenger screening.
We're simply there to help TSA do their job in areas that don't need their specialized expertise.
Homan also says they will start by prioritizing the largest airports with the longest wait times, so agents might not be seen at PDX immediately. Jake Holter, KGW News.
Here's the list of flights coming to and from PDX. Only 2 flights have been canceled, but a dozen flights or so were delayed. Up in Washington, Seattle-Tacoma International Airport said as of this afternoon, operations remain normal despite the partial shutdown. In response to the president's plan to send ICE, U.S. Representative of Washington, Pramila Jayapal, calls this, quote, a thinly veiled attempt to intimidate people during travel. A longtime aviation journalist adding, the 2 jobs couldn't be more different. TSA is trained to spot items, not people.
And TSA agents are there to de-escalate any sort of a stressful situation. I have not seen ICE operate very effectively in a de-escalation mode, and that's a major concern.
Behind the scenes, many officers are now relying on community support just to get by, and you can help out. $13,000 in food and essentials have been donated to federal workers at SeaTac, including gas and grocery gift cards. As another week begins without pay for TSA agents, travelers across the U.S. can expect to see more long lines. DHS reporting that more than 400 TSA workers have quit since the partial government shutdown began. A Democratic bill to fund just TSA agents failed to get the Senate votes needed to advance on Saturday. That's left thousands working for more than a month without pay. That in turn has resulted in a record number of workers calling in sick or just not showing up.
We're all hurting. Literally, checking accounts are wiped out. We haven't recovered from the last two that we've had before. My duty is still the same, but at the end, if I can't put food in my stomach, I can't keep a roof over my head. The people that I'm supposed to be taking care of are failing me.
Democrats vowed to withhold funding until Republicans agree to new reforms on ICE. Republicans want DHS fully funded before any talks take place. For travelers, experts say check the website at your departing airport to monitor TSA security wait times. To the Middle East and President Trump's deadline approaching after his new threat to Iran if the Strait of Hormuz is not reopened. President Trump telling the Iranians last night they have 48 hours to unblock the strait or he would obliterate their power plants. Iran replying that all energy facilities belonging to the United States will be targeted. In response, only a day earlier, Trump said he was considering winding down his war against Iran.
Just to put a fine point on this, though, is the president in the process of winding down this war or escalating the conflict?
Again, they're not mutually exclusive. Sometimes you have to escalate to de-escalate, Chris.
There were no reported deaths from Iranian missiles in southern Israel, but Israeli health officials said at least 180 people were hurt when an Iranian ballistic missile managed to evade Israel's air defenses. Israel's opposition leaders saying the attack is proof Iran deliberately targets civilians. The global economy is feeling the impact of the war in Iran. The CEO of one major airline saying oil could reach $175 a barrel. Gas prices across the country have risen by nearly $1 since the war began. In an effort to ease pricing, the Trump administration recently announced that the U.S. will allow for the limited sale of previously sanctioned Iranian oil. It comes as the cost of U.S. crude sits just below $100 a barrel. Here's the president on Friday.
Expected worse, actually. I thought that oil prices would go much higher.
But that's what business leaders are worried about. United Airlines CEO Scott Kirby writing in a memo to employees saying our plans assume oil goes to $175 a barrel and doesn't get back down to $100 a barrel until the end of 2027.
Transportation is how we move goods everywhere in the country. So that will be passed on. If you get on a plane, you're going to see much higher airfare. Think about how we're going to be trucking goods across the country. It goes beyond simply what you put in your car. It's going to affect everything regarding transportation.
Well, this commodity strategist saying if the war drags on, gas prices in the U.S. could reach $7 a gallon. The highest recorded national average was just over $5 in 2022. An update to a developing story in our area. Hillsborough police now tell us 3 teens were shot during an event at Northwest Events and Environments on Northeast Century Boulevard last night. Officers tended to the victims until they were taken to the hospital. They're all expected to survive. Police are still looking for the shooter or shooters, and they ask for witnesses to reach out and share what they know. In Southeast Oregon, there's a boil order in place for the city of Ontario. Malheur County Emergency Management says the city's water distribution system suffered a pump failure, dropping system pressure below safe levels. Until tests show the water is safe, people in Ontario need to boil their tap water for 1 minute before drinking it or using it for cooking or cleaning. For the next 3 months, expect construction in Portland's Rose Quarter. Today, ODOT closed off Northeast Lloyd Boulevard in both directions between Northeast 1st and Oregon Street. Monday night, there will also be occasional overnight closures in one southbound lane of I-5 in that same area. ODOT says crews are repairing both roadways while conducting foundation work and earthquake readiness upgrades. Pedestrians and bicyclists can still pass through the area. Well, check this out. It's an annual celebration among the Iranian people that's taken on an even greater meaning this year. At Portland's Jewish Community Center, people gathered to celebrate the Iranian New Year, which also marks the start of spring. One of the organizers tells us it's especially important tradition because it's deeply rooted in Iranian and Persian culture.
We would like to gather all Iranians and non-Iranians friends to introduce our traditions and our culture and to show them that how different the actual Iranian people are from this Islamic dictatorship. And we are people of peace and love.
She says while she's not exactly in favor of the war, she considers it a war against the Iranian government, not its people.